Hello everybody and welcome to my Speed Barbarian Whirlwind build. The idea of this build is going to be kind of theory crafting what I think is going to be a pretty effective speed build that's going to be able to kind of be a little bit spin to win. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So first off, taking Frenzy. The reason why I kind of favor Frenzy over these other ones is because it's really good at generating Fury, because it just attacks so fast because you get so many. But you don't necessarily have to take Frenzy. It's just my personal preference for generators. But it does 60% increased attack speed, generates 2 additional Fury, and then your other skills get 5% attack speed for each stack of Frenzy I have. So next is going to be, the bread and butter of this Whirlwind. Just spin around. Gain 1 Fury each time Whirlwind deals direct damage to an enemy, or 3 Fury against elite enemies. So this is going to be important so that you don't run out of Fury. So making sure you're in kind of dense packs is going to really help keep the uptime up. After using Whirlwind for 2 seconds, the damage is increased by 30%. Pretty solid. Passive, your core skills have a 30% chance to make things vulnerable. Um, that's just useful for more damage. And then Rallying Cry. So bellow a Rallying Cry, increasing your move speed by 30% and resource generation by 70%. This is really gonna help you because it's also gonna generate 25 Fury, so it's gonna help keep your Whirlwind up as much as you can. It also grants you Unstoppable while active. So next, Warcry, 21% damage boost, on top of grants you Berserking, on top of increases the damage bonus to 30% if there's 6 or more enemies nearby. Shout skill effect duration is increased by 30%. This is just going to give you more move speed, more resource regeneration, more everything. Charge is just a movement ability. That's really all there is to that. Swiftness for movement speed. Aggressive resistance, so gain 12% damage reduction while berserking. And while berserking, Fury generation is increased by 18%. This is just, again, to help keep Whirlwind up, because Whirlwind is kind of expensive, so you have to have some working parts together to make sure that you're not just running out, in 5 seconds. So you deal 9% increased damage to close enemies, gain 6% distant damage reduction. Steel Grasp. So I put this on here because it seems like an interesting way to kind of pull in enemies. So as you're running, you just kind of throw Steel Grasp at them to kind of group up enemies so you can proc your Fury more. Each time you take damage, gain Fortify, and then as long as you're fortified, deal 15% increased damage, or as long as you have over 50% Fortify. Next is going to be Wrath of the Berserker. Gain Berserking and Unstoppable for 5 seconds. For the next 10 seconds, dealing damage with basic skills grants Berserking for 5 seconds. So the more you hit things, the longer it lasts. While Wrath of the Berserker is active, gain 20% move speed, and increase Fury generation by 30%, so just more move speed, more Fury generation. And then while it's active, for every 50 Fury you spend, which should be pretty frequent because you're using Whirlwind, increase Berserk's damage by 25%. And then key passives, increase Berserk's maximum duration by 5 seconds and increase its damage bonus by 25%. So it's just making it easier to keep up your Wrath of the Berserker and making it do even more damage. So on to the legendaries. So again, if you're playing Barb, you get 8 offensive legendaries because of the weapons, so keep that in mind. So first off, whenever you deal direct damage while berserking, inflict bleed damage. Damaging enemies with Leap, Upheaval, or Whirlwind has a chance to summon an Ancient that's going to do the same thing. While berserking, just deal you just kind of permeate fire damage. This is just passive thing that you do. Whirlwind's crit chance is going to increase by 5 to 10% for each second, up to 20 to 40%. So 40% increased crit's pretty nice for your main core ability. And then after generating 100 Fury, your next core skill creates a Dust Devil. So again, it's just more passive effects, so you can just kind of spin to win and not really have to think so much about what you're doing. And then Whirlwind leaves behind Dust Devils that deal 80 to 105 damage to surrounding enemies. So yeah, so you just have Dust Devils coming out, you're burning, you're also doing some bleed damage as well. Another thing, so Gore's Devastating Grips. Whirlwind explodes after it ends, dealing 50 to 70% of the total base damage dealt to surrounding enemies as fire damage. So, this is pretty big. This is a pair of unique gloves. You know, the longer you have this on and the more damage you deal, whenever you end it, you're just going to have kind of a one-shot explosion when you do eventually run out of fury. I'm not 100% certain that there has been a way yet to permanently keep up Whirlwind. I think there's always some type of downtime, but again, that could change. You know, especially I'm just theory crafting. Still a lot of stuff we haven't seen. So Rage of Haragath. So this is the reason why we took the aspect of Berserk Ripping, so we can inflict bleed. So we can just proc this to help reduce the cooldowns of our non-ultimate skills, aka our shouts, so we can have our movement speed buffs up more. Then, because there's not anything particular that we need to have necessarily on our weapon, because we don't have an insane amount of percent increases, and even if we do, like, I mean, you could put this one on there so you get 80% crit. You get access to two-handed weapons. So I chose to go with the grandfather here. So if you were to put this as your critical, or if you were to put this as one two-handed weapon and then put this as the other two-handed weapon, you'd be getting 80% increased crit chance with your Whirlwind after it stacks up, plus 60 to 100% increased critical strike damage. That's just a huge damage increase. So it looked pretty good to me. Going into the defensives, heal for 2.5 to 10 life per second for each close-up enemy, up to 50 life per second. Alright, then Whirlwind periodically pulls enemies into you. I didn't really see anything I cared for when I was looking at this, which is kind of unfortunate. You could go this charge one, or you could even go damaging an enemy with a core skill increases the duration of berserking if it was a critical strike. Because you have so much crit, you could make an argument that this is better. I mean, I don't really know how good that is, but yeah, the rest of these really, because then you have these, but these are all uniques, and they're going to take up different slots. You can't extract uniques, so. Alright, so resource. So there's a couple of options here. Aspect of Berserk Fury. You gain 3 to 6 Fury per second while berserking, so that's one option. But then you have this option. Whenever you cast a shout skill, its cooldown is reduced by 2.7 to 5.4 seconds per nearby enemy, up to a maximum of 12 seconds. So if you put this, I think if you put this on an amulet, this might go up to 17 seconds, but I'm not certain because that 12 seconds isn't in parentheses. Typically whatever's in brackets is what gets increased depending on which item you put it on. So, yeah, but this is really good because even if it is just 12 seconds, if you're using your shouts effectively, you are effectively reducing their CDs by half just with this, just by doing a well-timed, at least shouting when there's at least 3 enemies near you. Plus, with the unique item, whenever you fight elites, and you're doing bleed damage to the elites, you'll be reducing the cooldowns even further. This is really good. Uh-oh. Well, that sucks. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was going to say that would suck if I lost that. But, so that's really good because keeping up your shouts is going to keep up your move speed. It's going to keep up your resource regeneration. Because ideally, so this lasts for 6 seconds, right? And then the durations are increased. Skill effect durations are increased by 30%. So, so that's going to be, I think 30%, that's going to be like another second or so. So if you can get this down, so you reduce it by 12, that takes it down to 12 seconds. So if you can get or I guess you reduce it by 12, so it takes it down to 13 seconds. So if you were able, and it's going to be active for 6 seconds, that means if you can get that last 6 seconds down, you could have 100% uptime on this. And that's kind of where I'm leaning on this, is to try to be like, okay, well, if you fight an elite and get some bleed damage off on it, you got the potential to get there, because you're going to need, so you have a 20 to 40% chance, and you're going to need 4 ticks of this to get that 6 seconds, right? So I'm kind of hoping that works out pretty good, and if it does, that's really It's really going to help because you're talking about grants you an additional 50% resource generation on top of the 70%. So you're talking about a lot of resource regeneration. So 120%, I mean, you're getting 6 here, so that means like, your frenzy would be doing like 13 fury a hit, you know. Plus, think about the damage increase for you and your allies that you're constantly bringing. I know I had a couple of people say, I don't think support, Z-Barb's going to be a thing, and I don't think support Z-Barb will be a thing, but I think in group content, Barbarians, if they can get these shouts down to where they have permanent uptime, are going to be absolutely astronomically good. So, but anyway, so that's the build. There's another couple things you could take. Killing an enemy with a core skill refunds 10 to 20% of its base fury cost. It can happen once per cast. You could technically get rid of this maybe, and then well, actually no, you can't do that, but you could potentially swap out some of these things if you really wanted to for more movement speed options like these, but I don't really think it's necessary. I think the Barb has like 72 to 75% movement speed just built in to its abilities and stuff without even factoring in any legendaries, which is probably more than enough, right? I mean, you're moving at almost double speed. And compared to other classes, the only other class I've seen that can do that so far has been the Druid, and I think it still has like 10% less move speed than the Barb. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for this Whirlwind build. Hope it drums up some ideas. Hope it helps. Let me know what you think in the comments. Always looking to, try to make these better. This is a Theorycraft, so it's not like I'm 100% certain this is going to be the best. But, yeah. Oh, real fast here. I don't think I went over the, don't think I went over the Paragon. I can do that real quick. Swapping weapons grants you 3 Fury. Bam. That's pretty good take. For every 75 Fury you spend, gain Fortify. That's pretty good to help with the passive that we took that gives you extra damage. Damaging enemy with one-handed weapons, increase crit chance. Yeah, you could use that since you go Frenzy. Not really useful. Not really useful. You could go this one, Berserking, critical strikes, increase your attack speed. That could be useful. Killing a bleeding enemy has a chance to grant Berserking. That's also useful. And then enemies that have been bleeding for 3 or more seconds take 15% more damage. Because we're running that one legendary, that is also useful. Alrighty, you do get 200 points, so I don't know if you'd be able to get all of them, but you'd be able to get at least, I don't know, like 3 or 4 of those legendary ones. So, but alrighty, yeah, that's gonna do it. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys next time.